And looking at problem one, this is in some ways one of the more complicated problems you may ever encounter because it is a multi-step problem or a multi-level problem. In reading through this problem, let's see what's going on. You wish to retire after 25 years, at which time you want to have accumulated enough money to receive an annuity of $85,000 for 20 years of retirement. You will receive the first payment 1 year after retiring. During the period before retirement, you can earn 10%, while after retirement, you can earn 9% on your investments. What annual contributions to the retirement fund will allow you to receive this annuity? This problem is like many whereby you do not do the problem from left to right. When I think of a number line, my math background always says do it from left to right. But you always go to the furthest time span first. That is, we're going to look at the time after retirement. So the one timeline that you're seeing will be divided into two. That is, on the left-hand side here, which I will do in the color purple, will be after retirement. And what you want is, you're asking how much will, we know how much we will receive after retirement. Again, it is an annuity, which means equal payments of $85,000 for 20 years after retirement. And we will receive the first payment 1 year after retiring. That is important because if it is 1 year after retirement, that's when you receive the first payment. So I want to put here payment of $85,000 there. We will receive that for a total of 20 years. Now, I like to say that when you die, you're not taking this with you. So with these types of problems, the future value is going to be equal to 0. During this time, you will receive, says after retirement, you can earn 9% on your investment. So I equals 9% goes there. So what do we not have? That is, what is our unknown over here? It's my present value that I don't know. Okay, now let's stop and let's think about this just for a moment. You might look back at the problem and you say, that is not what the question asked for. I'm with you. In fact, the question asked, what annual contributions do you need to make to the retirement fund? When would you be making those? Well, of course, you're making those while you're working, which we haven't talked about. But it's like this. The day you retire, you need to have a lump sum amount in your account because you're not going to be working anymore. So all the money saved for retirement needs to be in the account the day you retire. So we actually have two things going on. We've got the after retirement, which we have talked about already. That's in purple. And the years before your retirement. The years before the retirement would be in red. Okay, just my color code. There's no book's going to say that, all right? And the present value is equal to 0, all right? Now, probably what I should have done is this, to tell you the truth, is ask what's the big question? Here's the big question, folks. What annual contributions to the retirement fund do we need? Annual contributions. What does that sound like to you? You're right, a payment. So this is the big unknown right here. Is what's the payment, right? And for how many years will we be making that payment? You look back up here and 25 years. Okay, you're going to be making that payment for 25 years. So all the way to the 25th year. During those 25 years, that is before retirement, you can earn 10%. And so I equals 10% there. Now notice that at the end, I'm going to have a future value. I'm not going to put a question mark there, even though if you go back up and look at the problem, we don't know that. Here's why. Because the present value will become the future value. In some ways, I think of it in the opposite way. That is, if I knew already what the payment would be, then that would give me my future value, which would be the same as my present value, so that I could get my $85,000. But again, what makes this problem, as professors like to say, interesting, is I have two unknowns on the red. In a moment, I'll only have one unknown, which would be the payment, because I'm going to determine first the purple. Okay? So hopefully I've confused you enough. I'm teasing. I'm hoping that I've shed some light on this problem so that we can now do the work. Now, when we get to multi-level problems like this, I typically omit doing it with the formula. I don't know exactly the percentage of brain work we've done so far, but we've done the majority of the brain work just with the cash flow timeline. Here's what I'm talking about. Looking at finding how much do I need to have in my account the day I retire. That says I don't know, but I need to know the present value. I had 20 time periods, 9%, payments of $85,000 coming to me, so that's going to be a positive, and the future value is 0. Now, earlier we talked about ordinary annuities and annuities due, okay, in an earlier video. Because the first payment is happening at the end, okay, it is an ordinary annuity. I'm going to write the word end up there. Now we take our calculator, and hopefully you've got the HP12C, and if not, again, that's okay. Whatever calculator you're using to determine the results. Okay. Let me make some adjustments here so we can see what's going on, hopefully a little bit better. And putting in the values, I've got 20 in, 9 for I, 85,000 for the payment, 0 for the future value, and now I press the PV key, present value, and I get negative $775,926.38. That is my present value. So writing that in, making sure that it is a negative. Believe it or not, I'm almost done with the problem. Looking at the first part, again, the present value that I just found becomes the future value. And so this comes right down here, okay? But that's now going to be a positive, not a negative. Because what's going to be a negative will be the payment, because that, of course, is money coming out of my pocket every year at the end of the year. So I know that's going to be a negative. We had already said that N is 25. The interest rate is 10%. The present value is 0. And why is that a 0? Because I don't have a lump sum payment, my bad, a lump sum amount going in initially. All right, so now do what we did just a moment ago with our calculator. And we have, again, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the sign there and enter that as my future value. Okay. 25 for my N, 10 for the I, 0 for the present value, and now enter the PMT, and just like that, in fact, I didn't even blink, there it is, the answer, negative 7889.68. I have to enter that as a negative because that indicates a cash outflow. So that's my answer. I'm hoping you enjoyed that problem as much as I did. You may have to go back and look at it a few more times, but the important thing to remember is that you do not do it from start to finish, or you do, but I should say you do not do it from left to right, but look at the furthest timeline first, then at the most recent timeline.